You know I'm right here on the Double G Sports Radio / podcasting network. Nick Durst here, joined again by Joe Calabrese. And Joe, we got a lot to talk to you about, and both of us will discuss a lot of topics here, but we got to start off with what happened in wrestling over the past 3 days or 4 days. And you know what they say, the Raw after WrestleMania is usually the best. So will this be the best podcast after WrestleMania? We'll see. But Joe, overall, before we run through some matches here, what are your overall thoughts on WrestleMania and then Raw, which followed?
I honestly enjoyed WrestleMania. I enjoyed the whole weekend. I know it was a little weird without seeing an actual stadium crowd of 75, 80,000 people. And as we go one match by match, we're gonna go over the best moments of the show and the moments that would have been way better with a big live crowd. But for the most part, I think everybody did very well. I was entertained. They really, really tried hard for us, and they delivered a good show, a quality show. And so I can't wait to get into everything that happened over the weekend. For the most part, we agreed on a lot of things we disagreed with, but for the most part, I think it was a big notch in the belt for Vince McMahon and the rest of the company. Kudos to them. Job well done. Thank you for entertaining us over the weekend.
Not to get politically, but what do you think Vince said on the call with all the other commissioners and the President of the United States that happened, I guess, this Sunday afternoon? How do you think that went down?
I would like to imagine that all the commissioners and Vince and guys like Dana White and the UFC are pretty restless. Naturally, everybody wants to start their business again. Naturally, everybody wants to start going back to the way things were in the world and start bringing some normalcy to the country again. I still think we're a few weeks away from that, probably closer to a month. But I hope the conversation was productive. And hey, listen, we've seen some reports of Major League Baseball starting to possibly put in contingency plans, which we'll talk about later after we talk about WrestleMania. But yeah, so I'm hoping the conversation was good. I definitely think Vince is antsy. He obviously wants to get talent back on the road. I don't think that's going to be something that's going to happen soon. We're most likely still going to get recorded Raw and SmackDown shows over the course of the next month. But I'd like to think it was positive. I'm sure it was positive. Nothing really leaked that was negative from the call. So I think Donald Trump and all the commissioners are probably on the same page here, like everybody else.
Who knows? Maybe wrestling could go into a little echo chamber, like MLB suggested. But we'll get to that. So let's start with the show. Start with the match that most people didn't see, which was a quick match, but a good match, and that was Drew Gulak versus Cesaro. Quick 4.5-minute match. Cesaro gets the win there. He hasn't done much winning at WrestleMania since winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. But, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this match, but overall, I want to get your thoughts on where they go from, this point on with the Gulak-Daniel Bryan storyline.
Very interesting. Again, I agree with you. Good match. It was a good showing for Cesaro. He needed to have a nice one-on-one match, and I think putting him and Gulak on the pre-show there, like the pre-recorded pre-show, was definitely a good idea. Good match. In regard to Gulak and Bryan, we shall see. We'll go over the Bryan result in a few minutes, but I would not be shocked if they continued aligning together, being part of the show together. I definitely think they could challenge for the SmackDown tag titles eventually. I think a Bryan and Gulak versus certain somebody's feud would actually be pretty good. So we'll get to that more later, but that's what I see moving forward.
All right, so speaking of tag teams, Kabuki Warriors lose a 15-minute match to Bliss and Cross. And, there's a lot of complaining that, Asuka's being booked poorly, but what are your thoughts on this tag team match?
I think it was a good match to open the show. I think it was a really strong showing from Alexa and Nikki in particular. I think Alexa's done really, really well since she turned face and aligned herself with Nikki. It's kind of an odd pair tag team, but I think it works very much so. And the Kabuki Warriors, specifically Asuka, since the WWE started these pre-recorded shows, have been nothing but entertaining. And they're using Asuka every week, whether they have her in a match, whether they have her on commentary, whether they have her doing a run-in or like a backstage promo or something. They've been using Asuka a lot, which means that the company values her. She's not getting booked poorly. She's being used as a prominent part of the TV product when there's no crowd. So they clearly value her. It was a good match. It was a good time for the Kabuki Warriors to lose the tag titles. Hopefully we start to see Asuka doing some more single stuff. Hopefully we see Kairi Sane do more single stuff. You might have a feud possibly with those two against each other at some point in the near future, because Kairi Sane is the one that did take the pinfall loss at Mania. But all in all, it was a good match. I really enjoyed it. It was a good opener.
Maybe this opens an opportunity for us to see the return of the Iconics, who we both saw win at WrestleMania in MetLife Stadium last year, and they got a big pop when they won the match. So we'll see if, because now you assume you need a heel tag team to challenge Alexa and Nikki. Next match, our guy Elias gets his much-needed WrestleMania win over Corbin. And like we predicted on our last show, Elias just came out very aggressive, no music or anything, and put on a good show.
He did. I like the fact that he hit him with the guitar. It was exactly what it needed to be. It was a match that was less than 10 minutes. It was solid. Corbin looked good. He had a couple of good moves, especially the one where he likes to slide out of the ring, go around the post. But all in all, Elias needed a big win. He got a big win. It was very entertaining. Good on Elias. And we thought that he may not be a part of the show because there were a lot of reports and stuff about this one might miss WrestleMania. This one might miss WrestleMania. Elias was involved in the angle where he fell off the balcony. So good on him. He was a part of the show. He got a big win, and I really enjoyed it.
Now, the match that was really the most controversial for night one, a lot of people on the internet were very upset with the results here, and that would be Becky Lynch retaining her title against Shayna Baszler, just like I told you she would on this show.
You did. I picked Shayna. There were two trains of thought here, right? So, yes, Becky's had a very long Raw Women's title length, and it's getting to the point, I think, where now that she's beaten most of the competition on Raw, a lot of people are asking, what's next for her?
The baddest woman on the planet is what's next for her after she beats Nia Jax in an upcoming feud.
Right, that's going to be next. She's going to feud with Nia. But yeah, so I can understand. Some people, we like long title reigns until they happen, and then once they happen, we get restless because we want to see different people involved in the title scene. But on the flip side of this, even though I picked Shayna Baszler, what I will say is, from a booking perspective, to have Becky win in that situation, I don't think it's a bad decision. Because if you're going to push Shayna Baszler, you have to be absolutely certain she could be a star. And I'm not sure she has it.
Nah, she doesn't have it. I don't think so. I mean, she could just be like this one person they roll out there to be a big challenge, like Snitsky or something. Some big person who's just like, oh, I'll do like a main event match, but I'm going to lose. And we'll talk about the SmackDown. What are you going to say, Joe? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I think she's the Corbin of the women's division.
Perfect, Baron Corbin.
Yeah, she's
that's absolutely perfect comparison. And we're going to get to the other two women's matches, the title matches. But if you look now, 3 of the 4 horsewomen are champs. Wouldn't this be quite a scenario to somehow set up a situation where Sasha's annoyed and they have a fatal 4-way for all the titles or something like that? I mean, that would just be something. Or even if it's a non-title match and then she wins and then she's like, "You're all champs, but I'm better than all of you." Thinking about the possibilities there. Somehow, somewhere down the road, they could do something in that regard. And we're going to talk a lot about Sasha when we get to night 2. The other surprising match on night 1 is Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan, because all we kept hearing was Daniel Bryan was not going to be in this match. 9 minute, 17-second match, but probably like 3 minutes of wrestling because Zayn just kept leaving the ring. I thought Zayn was really just going to take the belt, but he walked out of the ring, get counted out, and champion's advantage, lose, but retain the title. But he won by pinfall.
He did. It was an interesting match because I think more of it was about the craziness that was happening on the outside. And, so, I mean, I'm not shocked that Zayn retained. He had not won a singles championship in WWE until he won the Intercontinental title last month. And he's never had a one-on-one match at WrestleMania, let alone had a WrestleMania win/moment. So I could see why this happened the way it did. It was, I think, slightly disappointing for me because I expected more of a wrestling match between those two. And I think if you would have given them 10 minutes, the same amount of time to just have a wrestling match, and then
would have been a great match.
It would have, and if you would have had everything happen at the end, I think you could have done it like that. So slight disappointment, not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Happy that Sammy got a win. And so to tie in back what you said earlier, I definitely think it makes sense for Bryan and Gulak, should they go away from the Intercontinental title, to go into the tag team scene together. I think their chemistry has improved a lot over the past couple of weeks. I think they're fun to watch. I think they're entertaining to watch together. And I think that they would make a good insertion into the tag division.
Well, anytime you can get The Miz and Daniel Bryan in the feud, you should really go for that. They kind of dropped the ball on that the last 2 years. But, the actual in-ring match of the weekend was the triple threat ladder match for the tag team titles. Morrison, Jimmy Uso, and Kofi. I wonder how Jimmy and Jay decided who was going to fight, and Kofi and Big E. But really interesting finish to that match where I knew they were all going to grab the hook, and then Morrison just fell with the titles. I knew that was going to happen.
It was a great finish. When was the last time you ever saw a finish like that? It never happens. It was great.
Hey, ho, ho, Miz and Morrison.
I really enjoyed the ladder match. I think the three of them, and this is another situation with the New Day where we don't know if one of them was going to compete. We didn't know if both of them were pulled out. It turned out that Kofi was the one representing the New Day because they made it a one-on-one ladder match. But I thought this was a lot of fun. I think given the circumstances, they did a hell of a job. They knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, my big problem was just that I don't like The Miz being in a tag team. I think he should be like a world title guy, but I don't know. I guess we're not going to really get that anytime soon. So moving on to the next two matches. Kevin Owens beat Seth Rollins twice. I don't understand that booking. I thought Seth should have won. It would have made more sense, but Kevin wins. I think they don't really know where they're going from here with either guy. But the spot of the weekend would be Kevin Owens jumping off the WrestleMania sign on to Seth Rollins.
Yeah, this was a great match. I really enjoyed this. One of the 3 or 4 better matches of the weekend, I think. This was one of those 4 or 5 big matches that I think could have went either way. If Seth would have won, I wouldn't have been a surprise. It would have been fine. Owens ended up winning. Technically, he won twice, like you said, because he won the first match by disqualification, and then he coaxed Seth to come back down to the ring and face him in a no disqualification match. I think jumping off the WrestleMania sign was a nice little wrinkle. I think it was cool. I think it was a cool way to use the setup over there. And it was just very entertaining. I mean, I totally understand where you were coming from, thinking Rollins was going to win. Again, it could have went either way, but I think it was a great match. I think it was very entertaining. And again, this was a situation like Kevin Owens, like Sami Zayn, where Owens, his track record at WrestleMania is not really great, and he wasn't even on the main show last year. So it was nice to have him, give him a moment. This is only Seth's second clean loss at WrestleMania. His only other one came to Randy Orton, so his record is still pretty pristine. Great match all around. I enjoyed it.
If there's any indication, then Seth Rollins should probably be walking out of WrestleMania next year as the world champ, because I think every time he's lost a WrestleMania match, his next WrestleMania match, he's become champion. I think dating back to everything, that's how it's turned out. But we shall see where they go with that. Now, for the first of the two terrible world title matches of the weekend, in 2 minutes and 11 seconds, Goldberg and Braun Strowman put on the absolute